Okay, so what this is here is our physics grade 12 final project and our physics on skeet shooting. And here are all the formulae we used for it. So we'll start with the first one, which is when and where to shoot the skeet for the best chance at hitting it. So the best place to shoot it at is at the apex. In order to find the apex, you take your total time and divide it by 2 because it's at the top of its point. That's where the apex is. So we did delta t over 2. Total time was 4 seconds. Divided that by 2 is 2 seconds is when it's at the apex and when you should shoot. And for our second formula we used, we were figuring out what angle we shot the skeet at. And we did that by taking our velocity in the y direction and putting it in over the velocity in our x direction. So 10 over 17.5 meters per second. And once we got that answer, we took the negative tan of it and got 30 degrees. So the next thing we did was we found out the velocity of the skeet, and in order for us to do this, we had to first measure the displacement, and we just did that with a tape measure. So we took delta D equals Vt, so we know that V equals D over T. And once we found that, we just did 35 meters, which was the displacement, over 2 seconds to find it at the apex, which is 17.5 meters per second, was our velocity in the x direction. And that's pretty much what this is here too. And for our last thing, we found the velocity in the y direction, which is, we used the formula V2y equals V1y plus 1/2 a delta t. So we assumed that V1y was 0 because we're starting from stop. So we did 0 plus 1/2 times by 10 times by 2 because the time is at the apex once again. And the universal gravitation on Earth is 10 meters per second squared. Once we did that, we did 1/2 times by 10, which is 5 times that by 2, it's 10 meters per second, which gives us our V2y, and that's also figure that out. So those are all our calculations, and thank you very much for teaching us physics.